Hello everyone, welcome back to this book study group. I'm Rebecca Skeele and we are going to start chapter 4 in today's video. This is video number 7 and the book is, or booklet is, Manifesting Your Sacred Ambition, Harnessing Vision and Power to Bring Your Sacred Calling to the World in Service to the Greater Good. And like I said, we're going to start chapter 4 today, and I'm going to divide chapter 4 up into several different videos because there's a lot in this chapter. You're going to notice on the study guide that I have about 8 questions for this particular chapter. So again, you could just follow along and answer the questions that go along with what we talk about on each video. So chapter 4 is What It Takes, the Real Work of Sacred Ambitions. And I'll just read the first paragraph. Declaring your sacred calling is a crucial first step, but there's more. How do you move forward with that heart-blazing fire? How do you speak that deep bell-ringing truth? What are the keys to manifesting that glorious vision, or that barely audible but insistent whisper in your heart? Before you go into what it takes, let's explore a bit of what does not work. So over the next several pages, page 19, page 20, page 21, page 22, I talk about what doesn't work and what does work. And the reason that I have done this is because the normal way that businesses are started really don't work when we're coming to sacred calling and sacred ambitions. This is kind of a bird of another feather, if you will. And it's important to take a look from the beginning. If you want to bring that sacred calling out into the world and express it through some kind of business or initiative or service in the world, then you want to know from the get-go that there are going to be different ways, different abilities that you're going to want to incorporate along the way. And this is one of the problems or challenges that I run into a lot in working with people, is that they, maybe they've had a business for a while, or maybe they've had a career, and then this burning, fire-blazing vision comes up inside of them, and they think, oh, I could just take this and, take my business skills and do it that way. And it's like, yeah, and it doesn't work. It might work for a while, or it might work to get you started, but then all manner of challenges start to arise, and people think, oh, well, I must not, maybe this is a sign from the universe that I'm not supposed to be doing this. Unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do at that point, and that's one of the common reasons that people give up too soon. But I want to say, no. We need to know that this bird of another feather just has different ways that it wants to be expressed and manifested. So that's why I start off with what does not work. And the first one is hiding out and playing small. We've talked about that, haven't we? But I want to focus more on what do we do instead when we're doing sacred callings and sacred ambitions. We build a community of like-hearted and clear-seeing individuals who will support each small, shaky step until you find your sea legs in this ever-shifting paradigm. And this is one of the big things that the mentorees in my mentorship program have learned this year, is that they get very discerning about the kinds of people they're around and the kinds of people they invite to participate or to know what they're up to in the world. I had one mentoree tell me recently, because she had taken a little trip to visit some old friends, and she said, I love these people, but boy, they were not the kind of people that would support me in going for this vision that I have, this big dream in my heart. So you get very discerning. But there are a community of us out there, which is hopefully what you are discovering through this book study club. And also, if you decide to come to the event, you'll meet them there for sure. So what else doesn't work? I'm on page 20. Doing it alone. And again, this may sound very similar to the first one, but it's also talking about inner guidance. Doing it alone and following the guru model, the old guru business model of one person at the top and all the others fall into line. Sacred callings are not about that. They are really about coming together with others in collaboration, in cooperation, and doing things with others to bring forward the big work that you want to do in the world. And that connection to inner guidance that is always present and always available so that your voice is true is so important. Because again, like we looked at in another chapter, truth telling, truth speaking, that's what resonates for people. And you know, the world is hungry for this. We are hungry for this, aren't we? We are hungry to be told the truth, to hear truth. We are hungry for environments where truth is freely spoken. And that to me is one of the big paradigm shifts that we are all going through at this time, and why I think sacred ambitions are so important. Because we can't do them unless we are speaking the truth. What doesn't work? Chasing after bright, shiny objects that you think will fulfill that deeper longing. Declaring that you have achieved personal growth or spiritual awakening before you have taken your own journey into all the crevices and locked away places of you, etc. You know, bright, shiny objects. When I started to bring my big work out into the world, I was, seduced by bright, shiny objects. Success and more money and, more notoriety and more approval and more this and more that. And boy, that didn't last very long. In fact, there was a lot of crashing and burning that happened as those bright, shiny objects lost some of their shine, and I realized that they were illusions to begin with, and that was not really the path of fulfillment that I was really going for. I had a big struggle going on inside, and I had to walk away from a lot of those illusions, those lures, if you will, and really begin to follow something deeper inside of me. And it happens to all of us, and we learn, right? And I want to say, we learn, and that's good. So what do we want to do instead? You need to know in your gut that the world is waiting for you to show up and share your blessing, birthright, so those that are looking for your gifts can find you. Once you know that you really are going to give yourself permission to live your life from that sacred calling, and that you are designed to do that, and it is your birthright, and you have been waiting, and the world is waiting, and that there are those out there that are looking for what you can bring to them, how you can serve them, then the bright shining objects, they don't have the allure anymore, because you have that foundation inside, you have that truth, you have that conviction inside of who you are, and you're not swayed as often. Sacred ambitions require you to know and embody your own truth and not try to replicate anyone else's. Boy, that's a big teaching. Big teaching. What does not work? Pushing, striving, hurrying, worrying, being louder than you need to be, and not allow space and breath and quiet to be present when you share about who you are and what you do. Sometimes we have a feeling like we have to get very loud when we want to share who we are and what we do, and we do loud things through our marketing or through our websites or through our any kind of promotional material we put out there. And again, space, quiet, breath, simply stating what it is. Again, back to that truth thing. Have you noticed I talk a lot about truth in this book? That's what resonates. And we don't have to hurry. We don't have to push it. We don't have to strive for it. We don't have to chase after it. And that's a whole different energy that begins to happen inside of us when, again, we are standing in the resolution of who we are, and we know who we are, and we know the gifts and the blessings of what we are to bring to the world. Instead, you need to know your ambition is sacred. Know you are ready to step out into the warm light of your divine birthright, to share your unique gifts and talents, and fulfill what you have come to be this lifetime. Your personal and divine power is good, and you are safe. One of the things I know about sacred callings is unless we know we are safe, we will not bring them out into the world. It's a big one. What does not work? Allowing the world to define who you are, how you must show up, and what is valuable or not about who you are and what you do. Instead, you are the one who decides the value of your gifts and talents, not the world. And this is a really big one, because in the marketplace these days, the world has some very interesting things that it thinks it's valuable, doesn't it? And then you hold up your sacred calling and that sacred ambition business against what the world says is valuable, and a lot of times you go, wow, this just doesn't measure up. At least that's what we do with it. So it's really important that we do not use the world as a yardstick. And that's one of the big things that we begin to do following a sacred call. We're following something deeper, something truer, something more aligned with who we are. And you are the one who decides the value. You are the one who decides the worth. And you are the one who declares it. And the more you declare it, the more you say, you know, what I am doing is valuable in the world. Not only is it valuable in the world, but it's helping changing paradigms in the world. The more it will show up like that. It's one of those secrets, one of those keys. Let's see, what else do I want to say about all this? I talk a lot about doing the inner work, and I've talked about that on other videos, so I just talk more about that. On the top of page 22, I say, so what does it take really? I have to say that when I decided to say yes to that inner ambitious prompting to bring my sacred calling to a bigger audience, to change more lives, to alleviate more unnecessary suffering, and to awaken the inner heaven one person at a time, I had no idea. So this book has come out of what I've discovered along the way. It has not, I didn't read this somewhere else. There wasn't a manual given to me. And this has been through trial and error, believe me. And a lot of, that didn't work kind of experiences. So that's one of the reasons that I write that first part of the chapter in, and I start with, what doesn't work. And then instead, we do this. Okay. On page 23, I start with 5 key elements of what it takes to bring a sacred calling forward. And I'm going to now go into, I think, the first 2, because there's a lot in this, a lot of information in this. So I'm on page 23, and right at the bottom you're going to see, so in order to follow your sacred calling and live it as your sacred ambition, there are 5 key elements. So here's the first one. Know who you are. And then I say, and if you think you know who you are, keep going. One of the things that came very clear for me when I started my sacred calling is I had been on a spiritual path of knowing who I was for 20 years before I decided to bring my work out in a bigger way. And yet I had a whole nother level. I had to go to school again on who I was. And it required that. because I had to get bigger to bring forth this work. And so to get bigger, I had to go deeper. I had to connect in a more authentic way. I had to clear more stuff. So this is really a path like that. Know who you are. And then the second key to bringing sacred callings forward, sacred ambitions, is dance with and embrace uncertainty and the unknown. Boy, this is a big one. Risks, taking risks, going out of your comfort zones, really getting comfortable with uncertainty. You know, I don't know about you, but there's a part of me that likes to know what I'm doing, what the results are going to be. If I do this, then X, Y, Z is going to happen. Well, if you start bringing a sacred calling, sacred ambition business out into the world, chances are there are no models to follow. It's not like, 100 other people are doing exactly what you're doing, right? Because it's unique to you. So it's like you say, well, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but this is what I'm called to do at this time. And we have to get really comfortable with uncertainty and really comfortable with the unknown. And when I say comfortable, what I mean is clearing the fear about it, clearing the uncomfortableness about it, really knowing how to work with yourself every step along the way so that you continue to bring compassion in for all the parts of you that are, maybe throwing a fit or a temper tantrum or going, I can't believe I'm doing this, or feeling like they're jumping up off a cliff and there's not a safety net or whatever. And of course, when I'm talking about all of this, I'm bringing up images that I know are elicit fear. I'm doing that on purpose because often that's the way we feel when we go into the unknown, right? And yet it doesn't have to be that way if you know how to work it inside yourself. And then let's see, I think I'm going to stop there because the next one is a big topic. Number three key. Okay, so how are we doing? Love for you to put in a comment or a question. I'm collecting questions, and actually one of the videos is going to be about answering questions along the way. But if you have comments, if you have a sharing that you would like to share, by the way, I've put out an email. You may have gotten it by now or may not, but it is really an invitation to you to contribute because I am collecting stories about all of the different aspects of sacred callings to sacred ambition. If you have a story you'd like to share with me, I would love to receive it. And I am going to be using some of them in my book. So again, you'll be getting my email and you can just send it to me. So until next time, happy reading, happy sacred calling journey. See you then. Bye-bye.